Grab a cocktail with us and welcome to the hot mess that is my life as a single makeup artist living in a college town in Florida. This is Kara's Lipstick Diary.
Boobs. We all love them, right? In society as women, we're expected to have big boobs, perky, perfectly round, and so many of us go to breast augmentation. But little do we know, there's a lot of health hazards when you get breast augmentation. No one talks about it. So that's what we're gonna do. Wait a second, hold on. Did you guys subscribe? Did you hit that button down there and hit that subscribe button? Because you know you want to, and you know you want to follow us on social media to find out all the behind the scenes stuff that's going on with Kara's Lipstick Diary. So hit those buttons. All right, since we're gonna talk about boobs in this issue, I think it's time we make a cocktail too. So today we're gonna make this like fabulous extra sort of peach Bellini. Are you guys ready? Let's see if I can actually make this thing. All right, so first off, we are gonna do some fabulous peach vodka, 2 ounces of that. So I don't really know like how much is in each of these little things because like it's not labeled properly. So we're just gonna go with 2 of them because that's 2, right? That might be 4, that might be 3, I don't know, but we're gonna say it's 2 because that's what the recipe calls for. So 2 ounces of that, and then we're gonna do ½ an ounce of peach schnapps. I think that that's what this is. Ooh, look, I just got it all over the counter. Oh well. That's how I roll. I just throw alcohol all over the place and we make it fabulous. Then we're gonna do 2/3 of a cup. I know how to read a regular measuring cup. This has normal numbers on it. This thingy does not have normal numbers on it. I don't understand. I'm even good at math and I can't figure out what the hell they're trying to ask me to do with it. All right, so 2/3 of a cup of peach nectar. All right, that's a lot of peach nectar, you guys. I'm assuming that those measurements of the alcohol are accurate because like otherwise it seems very unbalanced. And I mean, with a mimosa, I just want the champs and like a splash of orange. So, you know, we got to go the same way. And then we're going to do 1/4 of a cup of champs. And that's more like 1/3 of a cup. That works. Extra bubbles make everything better. And then, you know, we're going to top it off with a little bit of gold glitter. Because like, you know me, that's how we roll. We've got to have the glitter in there. So we have a fabulous peach Bellini to go talk about boobs. Kind of an important topic because women, we all like our boobs. We all want them bigger. But do we really want all the side effects that come with breast augmentation? Let's find out while we talk with my guest about the struggle she went through with getting breast augmentation and why she had them taken out.
So I don't know about you guys, but I grew up just assuming that when I was an adult, I'd get a boob job. I mean, because our boobs are supposed to be big and perky and totally round, and that's what society says women's breasts are supposed to look like. So being that I had small boobs, I just assumed that as an adult, I would get breast implants. And then, well, I started hearing things and went, maybe I'm not going to get a boob job. First, I had an FDA woman tell me when she first met me, don't ever get a boob job. And I went, well, that's interesting. And then my friend started having some problems. And so she has been kind enough to come on and talk about her journey of having breast implants through all the health issues they cause and having them removed. So thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about this because it is sort of a taboo subject that we don't talk about and we don't want to admit. I mean, hell, many women don't admit they even have boob jobs, even though sometimes it's really obvious they do. So thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this because I think in our society, we almost do just expect that we're going to get a boob job as women. And
Absolutely.
No one tells us the terrifying things that can go wrong. And you had those happen.
Mm-hmm.
So how old were you when you got your boob job originally? And why did you decide that you wanted a boob job?
Yeah. Well, first, thank you, Kara, for having me on.
Yeah.
So I, like a lot of women, did not necessarily have an outward problem with my breast to begin with, right? But we had kids, and kids tend to deplete you of many things.
Yes.
One of them is sleep, and the other is breast tissue mass.
Yes.
and then, you know, we get a little out of shape and all that. So I decided in my late 30s that I was going to be fit by 40, right?
I like it. Yes.
I started doing CrossFit, started doing crazy things, which now, of course, I'm like, why did I do that? But anyway.
I wonder that too with all these things, but yeah, no.
I decided that I was going to get fit. And, you know, the more fit I got, the more I realized that I had no tissue mass left. Yeah. And I think that one of the favorite comparisons that rude men tend to make is the tennis ball in the tube sock.
Yes. Yeah.
which I really hate that analogy. But anyway, so what ends up happening is you do all this work physically with your nutrition and your body, and you feel compelled that you need a mommy makeover.
Oh yes, because that is a key word, the mommy
It's a keyword.
makeover.
It's the
Yeah,
mommy
because
makeover.
women who make babies in their bodies need to get them made over.
Right. Instead of really celebrating the fact that, hello, I made a human.
Yeah.
What is your superpower?
Yeah, exactly.
We somehow think we have to change.
Yeah.
And so, I'm one of those women that went in and asked about a lift, and then was told, oh, it won't look right if you just get a lift. So then I said, well, are there implants that I can receive to just make me look like I did before the baby? Right. To just kind of make them look.
Put them back in place, make them look full again, but nothing crazy.
Right. And so then there was all these suggestions about, what kind to get and, what would feel more natural. And of course, I didn't think it was bizarre at the time, and now I've grown to understand why it's so toxic. But in many ways, but emotionally toxic, they asked me what my husband thought and whether he wanted to have an opinion on how real they felt or how real they looked. So,
because really, our boobs are for the men, not for us.
Apparently, they were for him. Yeah. Mind you, my husband has been spectacular through this whole ordeal, and he wasn't sure why I was getting them, but whatever. So
I love that he was like, why are you getting them to begin with?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, you're fine. I love your breasts. Okay, big deal. But, he's also, like a lot of men, he loves boobs, right? Yeah. So he was like, okay, well, you want to improve them somehow. Cool. And of course, I ended up, like a lot of women, with implants that were larger than what I had before.
And I hear that from a lot of women. They go in asking for one size, and then they come out with something bigger.
Oh, yes. So I had 500 mLs in each breast, which is scientific speak for huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, that seems really like a lot of boob.
It's a lot of boob, a lot of heavy boob. I went for the top of the line silicone because they said those were proven not to leak, and that unlike saline, they felt more real and that they wouldn't puncture or leak. They were put under my muscle mass because supposedly my muscle wall, because supposedly that would look better, look more natural, and it would secure them better. Did all the things I was supposed to do, followed all the instructions, had them inserted. And I was pretty much, I thought, okay, for about a year. So by the time I had them done when I was 40, at peak health, peak CrossFit, peak implants. By the time I was 41 and a half, the illness began.
And it hit you hard from the stories you've told me.
Yeah. So from 41 to about 45, I went from a CrossFit amateur athlete with a day job, working incredible hours, a professional, raising my kids, doing 48 military push-ups in 60 seconds, to bedridden, fibromyalgia, small stroke, chronic cluster migraines, fever, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic hyperinsomnia, thyroid disease, chronic pain, depression, thoughts of suicide, immune disorders.
I'm like, and she just keeps listing more.
Yeah, it just keeps going on and on and on and on. Basically, it's what your body would do if you were being poisoned slowly by heavy metals and toxic chemicals. It would be literally like a toxic chemical poisoning along with heavy metal poisoning.
Oh, dear God.
I did a blood test that I showed someone who knew nothing about my implants. Because again, we do all these mommy makeovers and then we keep it a secret because somehow we just want people to think we naturally look like this.
Right. We all just naturally, yeah.
Which again is all about this wrong psyche of what we want to present as right as opposed to honor our bodies. I showed it to a pharmacist, a trained pharmacist. I showed her this blood work and I said nothing. And I said, what do you think about this blood work? And she looked at it and she said, is this yours? And I said, yes. And she said, I don't understand this. And I said, what don't you understand? And she said, are you eating jewelry? Are you eating metals? Do you have like like ancient mercury in your mouth. Like, how
What the
could you
hell?
possibly? Yeah. So I had mercury levels that were unheard of, silver levels that were unheard of, cadmium levels that were unheard of, gold. And then in terms of chemical components, if you name the chemical, I probably had it in my system.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then it looked like I had to rule out MS. I had to rule out cancer. I had to rule out lupus. I had to rule out rheumatoid arthritis. I had to rule out just about every disease you could think of.
Well, and that's the thing. They're going to go to these diseases before they're going to think maybe it was the thing we stuck inside her body.
Well, they actually never went to that. They went to, you're just depressed.
Huh. We're being dramatic. We have hysteria,
being
right?
Dramatic.
Yeah.
No one believed me. They just thought, in some cases, they said, because I complained of the pain, and they said, maybe you're just addicted to opioids, of which, by the way, I was not on any. So then they thought maybe I wanted drugs.
Yeah, that's typical, to not be on something and be addicted to it. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally it.
But really, it was just me going, oh, she must be going through a midlife crisis, and therefore she must be a little loony. No one believed me. I asked questions. I kept asking people, what are the things that it could be? Thought about killing myself more than once. Just wanted it to end.
Yeah.
Missed a lot of things in my family. Had to slowly pull out of the workforce, and just spent months in my bed.
I mean, that's devastating to go through all of that. And one, not have anyone listen to you, have no answers for what's going on. I mean, your blood work alone should have said that it wasn't in your head. I'm sorry. That just seems basic. But then you start thinking you really are crazy because no one's believing you.
Yeah. And they're telling you you're depressed, and they're telling you have these issues. So they're like, well, maybe you're bipolar, or maybe maybe you're suffering from depression. And I remember saying, I'm depressed because
of this.
I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Because I can't get out of bed, because I can't make it from my bed to the bathroom, because I can't stand for more than 2 minutes, because I haven't slept for 4 years.
And
because,
it's not normal to go from CrossFit training to you can't stand for more than a couple minutes. That's not normal. To not be able to sleep at all is not normal. These are not things that we just as women feel like we're going to do for shits and giggles.
No. Well, my favorite line about being a woman was that perhaps I was premenopausal, which, understanding the English language, is what everyone is
at this age
before you're menopausal.
Well, I had a friend who recently was also diagnosed with that, and then it turned out she was having a reaction to her birth control. Maybe we should, as doctors, listen to women and look at what's going on with them before we tell them that it's all in their head, or they're premenopausal, or it's not really there. I am so sorry you went through all of this.
That's okay. Well, it's a learning lesson.
And here's the thing. When you went to get your implants, did they tell you that any of this was possible?
Nope.
And that's...
They said that anything that had to do with the silicone leaks had been resolved with the Corning Company years ago, of which that particular implant was taken off the market, and then they never did anything else about it. And then they just went back to making them. And even the saline implants that they told women had no silicone is not true, because the bag that the saline gets put into is silicone.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I've had people who have said to me, because, I now bring this up with people when I talk, and they're like, well, get the saline ones. And I'm like, what do you think the saline is inside of?
A silicone bag.
So even if you're getting silicone implants, it's in a silicone, or saline implants, you're getting silicone still put in your body. I had a client one time, and I did not know she worked for the FDA. I had never met the woman before, and she opens the door, and the first thing she said to me was, never get breast implants. And I went, hi, nice to meet you. It was a very bizarre thing to have someone say to me. And I was teaching her a makeup lesson, so I was with her for an extended period of time. And she goes, I can't tell you everything because, I was in the FDA. Yeah. I'm legally not allowed to tell you. But she goes, I was on the committee that oversaw approval of breast implants for women. She goes, I was one of the only women on the panel. It was mostly men. Shocking. Men making medical decisions for women. And then they basically decided that there was so much money to be made that they would approve it. And not only that, but these were her words. She said that it was decided that if women were stupid enough to get them, they were stupid enough to have all the side effects.
I don't doubt it.
And I was you have got to be kidding me. And that was the first time that like it crossed my mind that I wouldn't get breast implants, because in our society, you just assume you're going to get them. Like that's just the assumption. You don't have the
perfect size, then it's an assumption. Yeah. And again, we go back to what the hell is the perfect size?
What is that? That's my other question. And who are these boobs for? Like, I mean, your boobs, my boobs, we live in, this is our vessel that we live in. This is our body. This is how we exist. Why is society dictating that we need to have the perfect boob? And what is the perfect boob? I to this day don't know.
I don't know, because I can tell you that I was always on the larger boob size, but I was always a heavier girl. Yeah. And I won't use the term heavier. I was very cuddly. Yeah. Anyway, so
you were healthy.
I was healthy. Well, I was cuddly. But I was slept on my stomach. Can I tell you, when you have implants, at least I wasn't able to sleep on my stomach, because you have these like you're sleeping on two balloons. Yes. I couldn't quite get comfortable. Well, one of the first things I did after I was healed enough is I turned over on my stomach and got my pillow and stuff on my stomach. And I was like, yes, I'm sleeping on my stomach.
Oh my God. That's so funny, because that's how I sleep, with a pillow, hugging. Like, I never thought that you wouldn't be able to do that with them.
And I can tell you something that I know that you enjoy doing, Kara, very much, because we're friends, and I know how much you love the sun, right?
I do. I love the sun.
There's nothing worse than being a woman with implants, and you want to turn over because it's time to, bake the back of the chicken.
And you can't flip.
Well, you find yourself secretly carving out space in the sand for your fake boobs so that you can roll over and it's not so uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
Because you have to do that. Because, yeah.
Well, and how could you get a massage?
Yeah, but it was kind of uncomfortable when you laid on your stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Like half of the massage is on your stomach. Like, ow.
It was just really uncomfortable. It's just really the number one thing that most women talk about when they explant is you breathe freely for the first time, because a capsule forms around the around the implant. What people don't understand is that capsule, because this foreign body is put into your inside of your body. It's considered a foreign body, right? Yeah. So your body builds a wall of tissue around it, and that tissue actually becomes vascularized. And when people understand that everything about these implants is permeable, which means slowly over time, your body fluids go through it and your body fluids come out of it. Which is why it doesn't matter if it leaks or not, you still get through it.
You're still gonna.
I recently threw mine out because I was at a point of health where I felt cathartic enough to throw them out. But I can tell you they went a certain color and they came out a different color. And most breast implants do. On the inside, they change color, meaning that they've
Oh my God, that's so disturbing.
Yeah, they went in perfectly clear and beautiful. They came out quite yellow and dark. Your body fluids go in and out of these all the time. But so your body encapsulates them. And all of that is under your muscle wall. So from the get-go, you feel like your entire chest is being constricted. And the first thing that happens after surgery, even though you're bound tight, is as soon as you wake up from anesthesia, it's the same for most women that I've talked to, you immediately take your first big breath of air since the minute you put them in.
Oh my God.
It's just, you go.
Your chest can actually expand.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's
again, nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about how constricted you feel. Nobody talks about that breath of fresh air. Nobody talks about the discomforts. Nobody talks about all the inconveniences. And then, you go through this period of shame and embarrassment and also guilt, right? Because when I look about how many years I lost my career track. I lost the advancement of my career and what I was doing. People probably thought I was crazy because I disappeared. And, I was living in Gainesville at the time. You knew that you noticed I disappeared from the scene for a while. Yeah, you did for a while, and there's a lot of shame to it too, because I did it to myself.
Well, that's the thing. It's this we did it to ourselves type of situation. It's a chosen surgery. But I go back to, was it really our choice, or was it societal pressures that we fell victim to? And I think so many of us, it's this, we feel that we are inadequate in some way, so we try to fix it. And the only thing is we're poisoning ourselves. I mean, there are more times than not when I'm sitting with a group of women and I will be the only woman at the table who doesn't have them, because it's just so common now.
It's so common. And I tell my story, and then I have women that I would have never have guessed had implants, who then after the story won't do it publicly, but will come up later and whisper to me like, I have implants. And I'll whisper to them, get them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's what's terrifying, is how many women have them. And I've talked to several guys that I know who have had women that they've been with, and during the time period that they were with them or were good friends with them, they got breast implants, and they say every single one of them has said, I watched her personality change. Mm-hmm. And many times they say, oh, well, it's because suddenly she got more attention with her boobs. And I'm like, is it really that? Because I'm really thinking it's not that. I'm really thinking that it's actually a chemical change in their bodies, because it would be weird that every single woman they know who has had them has the same thing happen.
Yeah, it's a chemical overload. So depending on what you're predispositioned to, so things that happen that are, and I consider myself lucky, right? Aside from a few things, for me, I wasn't predisposed to. But for example, if you're predisposed to cancer, it will trigger your cancer. If you're predisposed to other diseases, it triggers those things, because what it does is the chemical and metal intoxication triggers the immune response of your body breaking down.
So how does that impact women who have breast cancer and get reconstructive surgery? I mean, because we all know breast cancer is my big thing. And, obviously women, much of our identity is on our boobs are a big part of our identity. Those are taken away from women. They go to get reconstructive surgery. And is this why so many women end up getting cancer again?
So it depends on the type of cancer, and it depends on the cellular type of cancer and the different types of the genetic cancer, and what was the actual cancer that was triggered in the breast. So there's different types. So, and I'm not a physician that can speak to that.
But my brain is just turning.
Yeah, from the research that we've done, and there's a really beautiful support group, and it's Breast Implant Illness and Healing with Nicole. She is the woman in the United States, Nicole Deruda, who has been the champion for women in breast implant illness since the beginning. She is an angel that has saved thousands and thousands of women and has helped hundreds of thousands of women see the light, get explants. There are now, of course, many, many groups across the world who have filed lawsuits against all these manufacturers, but there are women suffering from breast implant illness around the world. There has been an incident of women with breast cancer who have had the mastectomies and had reconstruction with, I believe, the one that's been most closely matched there was a textured implant, and women who had those implants put in for reconstruction succumbed to breast cancer again.
Oh my God.
Like, and some of those women were lost.
Devastating, like beyond devastating. Because I mean, like I say, societally, so many of us tie so much to our breasts. And when you go through cancer and you lose your breasts, you lose your hair, you lose your eyelashes and your eyebrows, you feel like your entire identity is being ripped from you. And then they try to do something to bring it back. And then that makes the cycle worse. I mean, that is beyond devastating. Yeah. And then it triggers all sorts of other things, right? So if you're predisposed to certain medical conditions, it triggers them, and because you're being poisoned, right? So if you research, people who suffer from either radiation poisoning or chemical poisoning or heavy metal poisoning, or people who serve in the military that experience, bioagent poisoning. One of the things that poisoning does is it triggers what you're predisposed to. So when you look at what women are predisposed to, and when you look at what women are succumbing to, I count myself lucky that it was only fibromyalgia and only a small stroke and only a small stroke. She just said, I only had a small stroke for my breast implants. Yeah. I mean, hello.
Because there are women in this group with Nicole that I've been on the group now since I turned 44 that have died. We lost a woman a few years ago and she was 37.
37
with
years
children.
old, died because of what her breast implants caused.
Yeah, with the toxins. So I think I'm lucky.
Yeah.
You
are.
I'm here.
Thank
right?
God
And
you're
I
still
can tell
here.
the story.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're spreading knowledge about this, and that is so important
Yeah, and
because
it's also, and I do want to say one caveat too, because I think a lot of people jump to the conclusion that your plastic surgeon is duplicit in this. Not always, guys and ladies.
and they may not know.
They may not know because their focus is on their aesthetic market and the procedure, and they're trusting whatever their sales rep tells them. Right?
Well, and that's the thing. They have to trust their sales rep. Their sales rep is the one telling them whether or not it works. Yeah,
right. And
that's where they get the info.
Yeah, and if the FDA doesn't do a good enough job of warning labels, which by the way, there are now some warning labels on breast implants.
Thank God. Took a while.
But when you trust that the people who are providing the product to you are telling you this, I don't. In fact, I went to my implant surgeon for my explant, and my first conversation with him, I don't think he believed me. By the second conversation, I think he understood, and by the time I went back for my follow-up visit, it was a very interesting office visit with a lot of people whispering and hugging me and thanking me for returning, because the two things I said to him were, I never doubted your skill as a surgeon because you're phenomenal, and by the way, my second set of scars you can't even see. He's really awesome.
Wow, if I ever need plastic surgery, can I have his number?
Absolutely, he's fantastic. But I told him, I said, I don't doubt your skill as a surgeon, and I'm coming back to you because I want you to know, because what also happened is a lot of women in their embarrassment never went back to their original surgeon, were too embarrassed to complain to their original surgeon. Right. And so I was like, I'm coming to you with a stack of medical documents. This was my file.
Yeah.
I went back to him and I said, this is what it is. He started down the path. Well, I don't think, and I said, I'm not here to ask you.
I'm here to tell you this is what needs to happen.
I'm here to say that I want an explant. And I know you're an excellent surgeon. I'm giving you the opportunity to do it. I also have a backup appointment with a surgeon in South Florida that's willing to do it. I'm giving you the chance to do it because I trust you and you're local. If you are not willing to do it, I will go see her.
Yeah.
I have no problems. But this is what's happened. You should be aware of it. You should be aware of your other clients. And I told him, this is going to start happening more and more. Whether you believe it or not, this is happening.
Yeah. Well, and we're beginning to see that. It's beginning to come out in media. We're seeing people who have media ties, who have some celebrity backing, who are going through similar things and getting them out. And it's beginning to bring awareness to the subject, which is, you know, amazing. And thank God. And finally, it's taken decades for us to get to this point, instead of just thinking women were, you know, being hysterical. Like, hello, we're not being hysterical. Like, it is like actually happening. Let's deal with it. So
we're killing women.
Exactly. Literally killing women over boobs, which is just not okay at all.
Not okay.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about this, telling us your story, helping to educate other women and support other women through this process, because we really don't talk about these things enough. And that's what we do.
I'm available to any woman listening to this podcast. If they reach out to you, Kara,
I will send them your way.
Send them my way, because I do have to get a shout out to this beautiful young woman. She's young because she's my age, who heard about my illness. No one knew what it was. She reached out to me from another state and said, do you have implants? And I said, yes. And she said, I know what's wrong with you, and I'm going to help you. And had it not been for her, I would have not known what was wrong with me.
That's amazing.
So we're going to pay it forward.
Thank God for the sisterhood of women helping each other out. And if you follow us on social media, make sure you follow the Instagram page, because I will be tagging her, so you can reach out to her and DM her if you have questions directly for her about the process and everything that goes on. But thank you again so much for coming on the show. I think this is such an important topic.
Welcome.
Thank you very, very much. I wish you were still in town. We should like go out for drinks. I'm so sad you're not here.
Come to Nashville.
I think I need to make that trip happen.
I know.
All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave us some feedback, and follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.